Thank you. While they put the chairs up, and as they do that, I'll invite the panel members, Professor Bhat, Professor Henrietta, Martyn, and Karthik to come up on the stage. I just wanted to re-clarify a couple of things you heard, especially from Professor Henrietta, about the program. So the program is a 3-year undergrad program, which has the first 2 years at the Apollo University and the 3rd year at the University of Leicester. So you graduate with a globally accredited University of Leicester degree, right? So typically in India, the undergraduate program is for 4 years. Here you get the benefit of doing 2 years in India, 1 year in Leicester, and getting an undergraduate degree. What's more, depending on your grades at the end of the 3rd year, you then have the opportunity to join a master's program at the University of Leicester. And that's 1 year. So 2 years in India plus 1 year in Leicester gives you an undergraduate degree from the University of Leicester. By the way, a UK degree is recognized across the world for being mobile to the US, Canada, Australia, anywhere else. And if you do choose to have a pathway to do your master's, in 4 years, you get a master's degree. Whereas in India, you have 4 years of undergraduate and 2 years of master's. So it takes you 6 years. Just wanted to give you that perspective. Professor Henrietta also mentioned about the diversity of the city, the town of Leicester. I've been there multiple times. If I had children at that age, I would feel very comfortable getting them go to Leicester. It's a small town. The university is a mid-sized university. You don't feel lost or, afraid in a very large university in a big town. And here's the interesting part. She mentioned that, and I just Googled that, and this is the Leicester Council data. 43% of Leicester's population is Asian. 34% of them of Indian origin. Right? So, of the balance, 57%, 40.9% is British and European. And then you have other ethnic communities. So it's a very, very diverse town. No ethnicity has a majority, right? Like 60% white or 60% Asian. So it's a very diverse town. As Professor Henrietta said, enough number of Indian, Asian restaurants. Your parents who are here, your children will feel at home, out of home. It's a nice, peaceful, very college, university-oriented town in a very beautiful part of the UK. Good. Hello. Check. So, what we are going to do today through the course of the panels, and this is the first one, is for the panel coordinator, that is me in this panel, to ask the other panel members specific questions related to doubts or queries that you might have, right? And we'll ask all of the panel members. Subsequently, we'll open the floor for you. You had the QR code. I guess, Vivek, if we can put the QR code up, you can scan that. And if you have questions, and this is through the panels, we'll keep flashing the QR code up at every panel. Please scan the QR code, and if you have questions, please type them in. The panel coordinators will get the questions on a tab, and we will ask the panel members to answer your questions through the day. Don't worry if something doesn't get answered now, it will get answered through the day. Then, of course, as Vishnu said, a lot of counselors here to answer your questions. We want to make sure that by the time you end the day and go home, that you don't have any lingering doubts in your mind about the career choice that you make, or if your parent, your children make here. Okay, so let me kick this off with Professor Henrietta. Now, your experience has been in labor markets, you've been in higher education, you've studied. What are the significant changes over the last 5 or 10 years? I want to go back further than that, that you've seen in the higher education sector that is of relevance to aspiring students here?
Thank you for the question. I would say the biggest, there are three things I would say. The first thing in international education from the UK perspective has been a huge shift from China to India. So 10 years ago, we had a lot of Chinese students. Now we have many more Indian students than Chinese students. And when I come to India, I understand why. India has become far more globalized. I see the building work going on in Hyderabad, the exciting changes and the move towards technology, AI, and exciting futures for India. And I think that's reflected in the shift of students wanting an international education to come back home to India to bring that experience. That's the biggest shift I've seen. For us in the UK, working in the education sector, that means we have to think about what you and your children want from a UK education. And the shift that I've seen there is more demand for particular subject areas, engineering, computing, AI, healthcare, and importantly, to have those experiences of employability, to have the opportunity to have workplace experience internationally to bring back to India or to stay in the UK and work in the future. The third change has been that we at the University of Leicester need to understand what you as Indian students and Indian families want from the UK. So for that reason, we've introduced the International Transfer Programme. We know it's very expensive to study internationally. So from our perspective, this programme with Apollo meets the requirements. 2 years in India to get the experience at that level, with support from the University of Leicester to make that transfer to do just 1 year in the UK. That makes it very affordable. Also, as Shiva said, gives the opportunity to stay in the UK to study for a master's degree. So we want to provide what you want to experience, and we're very flexible with that. We've also introduced, for example, different types of scholarship and different types of support when you come to the UK. And that for us has been a big and very welcome shift.
Thank you. Just to follow up for the audience to understand, could you talk a little bit about how the curriculum in the 2 years in India is mapped to that at the Leicester? So it's a very seamless transition.
We've designed the curriculum very carefully to make sure that the students, when they're in India for those 2 years, are having the same experience as students in Leicester for their same 2 years. So the curriculum matches. We've also designed what we're calling Spring Week. So there will be a team from the UK who come out to the Apollo University and meet with the students whilst they're studying here, so that the students, while they're in India, will meet the lecturers and the academics from the University of Leicester. So by the time they come to the UK for the 3rd year, they're very proficient in understanding the degree programme and will fit seamlessly into the UK system. What we're also doing is bringing our careers team over to the Apollo University to start to get the students to think about their future career options from year 1. So as soon as they join in India, we will start talking about potential workplace experiences and potential jobs for the future. So by the time they come to the UK, they will have had that experience and can use that 3rd year to go out to job interviews and to have that support to make that transition into the world of work.
Thank you. And you already have a batch here, right? So could you talk a little bit about how professors from University of Leicester have come to the campus and interacted with the students already in campus?
Yes, so this year we started our first intake of students on the International Transfer Programme. And I can tell you that the staff at the University of Leicester have been very, very excited about coming to the Apollo University to experience for themselves at Indian University. So they've already come a couple of times this year, and they will continue to visit during the year to meet the students and to make sure that they feel acclimatized to the UK way of teaching, but most importantly, so they get to know each other. We want this program to be a huge success, so we are giving a lot of attention and investment to make sure that those students and the students who come through afterwards have the best experience.
Thank you. Thank you. Professor Bhat, you actually one of the first academicians from India pushing internationalization of higher education. You wrote a book on that as well. What does it mean for an Indian student to acquire global experience, international education, which goes beyond just study abroad?
Thank you, Shiva. So let's get it clear that internationalization is not just student mobility. In fact, Jane Knight has described it so aptly by saying that international education is truly integration of education, research, and services related to higher education between two partners which are so far away in geographies. So therefore, we always thought that student mobility, moving of either Indian students to an international university or getting international students to an Indian university is one aspect of internationalization, but it also includes jointly conducted research, conferences, even within teaching, when you have faculty from international universities teaching the students in India or vice versa, is also international. So therefore, there are many aspects to internationalization, and one of the most important thing is about student mobility. I think all administrators we are so keen on, because they have their mindset that we should create opportunities for Indian students to get the best out of a partnership between two universities, and one of them is mobility, and that can be scaled. So that's the reason why we started moving very quickly as early as mid-1990s for international collaborations and partnerships. It has worked very well. So much so that we have seen one of the programs that we had done with a partner university in Normandy in France. This was a master's program, of course, not an undergraduate program, where the students did part of the education in India, the rest of it in the French partner, and then they got to get placements in the Flanders region. So they were placed in Luxembourg, in Belgium, in Holland, in Germany, in the Netherlands, in that part of Europe. And today we have more than 350 such ambassadors working in that region. So they take Indian culture somewhere else and bring back some of them to India, because all of them are not staying there. Some of them are working for those in companies in their India office. So there has been a whole lot of this kind of a mixture that we have created in this last 30 years. And this partnership with Leicester is one such, where we are creating an opportunity for Indian students at undergraduate level to transfer with 2 years of credits, which are recognized by a partner university. So that is not just saving of academic time, there's also an added benefit of doing a master's in shorter period of time. So this is truly international, and this is truly beneficial for all people concerned, whether it is the student, the parent, the universities, and even for the country. So these kinds of innovations become critical in internationalization. So I'm happy about this. And going forward, I feel we've got to explore more things. One of the things we have done is the collaboration in research. The Center for Digital Health and Precision Medicine we have set up in Chittor in partnership with Leicester. This being not just a student mobility partner collaboration, but it's a strategic partnership between two universities, where there is investment from both universities in this center, and which is already producing some great work in terms of research output, which will benefit not just the two universities, but I feel it has a potential to impact how health is viewed across the world. So I feel the true essence of internationalization is bringing the best of two universities and the best of two cultures together.
Excellent. Very interesting. You mentioned the Center for Digital Health and Precision Medicine. Can you give a flavor of, Professor Henrietta talked about the first cohort, the first batch this year of the students going through the 2+1 program at your campus. Can you tell us what impact that has had on the campus? What has been their life like? And a little bit about campus facilities. Also, please touch upon how students can get involved in research or assisting in research at the Center for Digital Health.
So this center is truly a tripartite agreement between Apollo Hospitals, the Apollo University, and the University of Leicester, which brings in the expertise from University of Leicester, both medical doctors and researchers, the clinical expertise and clinical data from Apollo Hospitals, and researchers from the Apollo University. And already we are now kickstarted the process for hiring PhD students for the center. The PhDs will be funded entirely by the University of Leicester. So that's at a level higher than this audience, because we are only talking about the undergraduate. But all these students, whether they are the Leicester students, the PhD students, or my own students at the Apollo University, have an access to the center for doing short-term student in projects and internships. So there are already about 16 of my students who are working in Hyderabad and with the data. There are about 20 of them doing research in the CDHPM, the Center for Digital Health and Precision Medicine. So all those facilities for projects and internships are available at the center for students of Leicester and the students of Apollo University. That's one. The second, this is a residential campus. We have more than 1,000 students staying on campus. We are creating a few more facilities. This year we are adding another 500 beds to the campus in terms of making it easy for students to stay very close to their place of education and training. And as I said, it's a safe and secure campus. We have a very green campus, well, it's so difficult to imagine Chittoor being green, but you got to visit our campus to see. So I'm a totally outsider I'm not from Andhra Pradesh, but when Dr. Reddy said, you come and visit Chittoor, I said, my God, I had seen Chittoor long back when I was working in CMC Vellore, and I was on my way to Tirupati, and the bus had stopped in Chittoor, very dry, very hot. So that's the picture I had of Chittoor. But Dr. Reddy said, please visit the campus once. So on my way to catch my flight at Bangalore, I stopped in Chittoor, spent a day, amazed. So that's the kind of campus that's been created. Already a medical campus there. There are medical students. The hospital is a little far away, 5 kilometers from there. It's a PPP model medical college. And they have safety. They have their health needs, which are addressed by doctors on campus. We have a great atmosphere for teaching, learning. There are at least 50 teachers who live on campus with the students. I live on campus with the students. I hate to leave Chittoor. So you've dragged me here today, but I'm going back this evening. So this is a lovely place to be. So I can't give you a larger PR picture than what it is.
Thank you. That's exactly what I wanted to the parents and students to understand. It's a residential campus, over 5,000 students, over 2,000, close to 2,000 of them who actually live on campus with faculty and yourselves as well. Excellent. Turning over to Martyn, as Director of External Relations at the University of Leicester, how do you view the sector outside, particularly given that students will move from India to a new destination, which is abroad? What kind of shifts or adjustments do you see that have happened or they need to make? Also, from a career perspective, what are things that they can look forward to during the course and after the course?
Thank you, Shiva. I hope you can all hear me. It's a pleasure to be here this morning with you all. Just to answer that question, if you can just give me a few minutes just to go back in time, to let's time travel. Okay, so I first came to India in 2005. I had more hair then. I was thinner. My first ever trip outside of Europe was to India when I was working at Cardiff University. And my first visit to Hyderabad was actually in 2005 as part of that trip. Okay, so in 2005, these didn't exist. I had a Nokia Motorola phone. The website for Cardiff University was very basic. There was no Facebook. There was no WhatsApp. I'm going to say that again. There was no WhatsApp, okay? There was no AI. Most universities didn't have in-country offices. So at Leicester, we're very lucky to have Vishnu and the team, but there was no in-country offices then. So the students I was meeting, the parents I was meeting, the information that they were getting, it was very hard to get that information. They relied a lot on word of mouth, on maybe knowing friends or family that studied in the UK, getting basic information from very basic websites, but also getting information maybe from the British Council or from agents. Now, if you fast forward to where we are now, and the reason I give that example is because we have events such as this, we have partnerships such as the one between Apollo and Leicester. The world has definitely changed a lot. There's a lot more choice. So in India alone, there are thousands more universities now than there were in 2005. Many more students are going to university. There's many more graduates entering the workplace, which is a great thing, but it does mean more competition for jobs. And to pick up on the theme of today, AI, if you look online now for universities to study in the UK, but also in India, very often you're being fed information by algorithms, by AI. There's a lot more universities out there. So whilst it's important to do some research online, it's great to see so many people here in person today. I don't think you can beat meeting people face to face and having those conversations and exploring different options. I think picking up on Shiva's particular question around employability, there are students now in schools in India, the jobs that they will do once they've passed through high school, done their standard 12th, done their degrees, whether it's in India or hopefully partly in India, partly in Leicester, the jobs they're going into may not exist yet. Okay, some of you will know that, and the speakers we have later today who work in these industries will be able to share you more information. So the jobs are evolving constantly, and that's why I think it's really important to do as much research of these options as you possibly can, to talk to people like those colleagues on stage here, but the ones you will meet later today, to try and think about what is the right fit for a particular student. And Shiva mentioned at the beginning, and so did Henrietta, about the culture at Leicester, what to expect, the sort of friends that students can make, the networks they can build in the UK, feeling safe, feeling like a home from home, but also meeting other students from the UK and from across the world. That is important. So I think that the cultural fit is important, but it's also looking beyond that at the programme, the curriculum, but what is the added value that students can expect, that parents can expect from a particular degree. Now at Leicester, as Henrietta mentioned, we've invested very heavily in our careers and employability team. We have dedicated staff that work with our international students to help them find jobs in the UK, but also when they return home or if they go and work in a third country. We also have the Future Fit scheme, as Henrietta mentioned, so developing specific skills around communication, problem solving. All of our students can access AI tools as well to get used to AI through Microsoft Copilot. But one thing we've embedded this year, recently, we've announced, is the 100 hours of work-related learning. So we're the first university in the UK to commit to embedding 100 hours across our undergraduate degrees. So students coming into the third year of a Leicester transfer programme with Apollo would benefit from that. And that could involve internships. It could involve doing live projects for a company. It could involve employers coming to our campus and running workshops. So it's those kind of added extras, which I would say look for when you are researching university. It is a big investment. You want a return on investment, and obviously we want our students to leave Leicester and the Apollo transfer programme with the skills they need to thrive in this new world, because sadly it is no longer 2005. A lot of things have improved since 2005. I also see these as a blessing and a curse, because now I can get emails anywhere, but I think there's a lot more information out there. So please, as Vishnu said right at the beginning, if there's things today that you don't quite understand because we covered them very quickly, or you have more concerns or more questions, please do make the most of the team that are here throughout today and beyond.
Thank you, Martyn. You talked about 100 hours of work-oriented internship during their third year at Leicester, what are the opportunities from a post-study perspective, visa and opportunities post-graduation?
So we had an event actually in this room yesterday, and myself and Henrietta are meeting with some of our alumni later, and we often use the phrase, Leicester for life, and we do have a lifelong connection to our alumni. Our first Indian national graduate studied at Leicester, graduated in 1976, or 50 years ago. So we have a lifelong connection with our alumni. And the reason I mention that in answer to Shiva's question is because students can access that career support long after they graduated. So at the moment, you're probably aware, there is an option in the UK to stay for a year and a half on the graduate route to try and find further employment. We have, as I say, an employment service that can help students with that. So the 100 hours for the students that undertake that might involve internships, it might involve placements, it might involve other ways to get exposure to a particular industry. Students can work part-time. Henrietta mentioned one of our students who had worked in the careers service. We have jobs on campus. We also have jobs off campus in the city. There are other cities nearby. For example, Nottingham is also quite close to us. Birmingham's not too far. So there are opportunities for students to earn while they learn, but also to get that exposure and then they have that 18 months after they graduated to try and find further employment in the UK. But of course, a lot of students then come back to India, and that doesn't stop. That connection with Leicester does not stop. So we have a huge alumni network in India. You'll become part of the alumni network when you graduate, and that network is excellent. I think Dr. Bhat mentioned about mentoring and coaching. A lot of our older alumni are very keen to coach, mentor, support, employ our fresh graduates, so that ecosystem for employability never ends. But it's something that Leicester does take very seriously, as I've explained, and where we're investing and looking to encourage, because as Henrietta said, when we say citizens of change, we genuinely believe that our values are very important to us. So equipping students, giving them all the help and support they need to have those skills for the world of work is really important. And building that long-standing, lifelong connection to the university as part of that.
Thank you, Martyn. Karthik, as part of the founding family of Apollo Hospitals and your journey from running the Navi Mumbai Hospital to now managing the operations at Apollo Knowledge and UK, as an entrepreneur and someone from industry, what do you look for when you look at young students or young adults coming into the workplace? What differentiates them in your mind from others who seek? I'm sure you receive plenty of applications for jobs. What do you look for?
So in my view, or collectively, what we as a team look for is to see how workforce ready they are. Workforce ready translates from them taking internships up before they come to see us, put the medical side, whatever simulation labs they've played in, because this ultimately translates to them understanding how organizations function, adhering to deadlines, and most importantly, communication skills. The workforce, it's a very sensitive place. Everyone's under a lot of pressure, so how you communicate is essential. And this only comes from hands-on training. So these are some of the areas that I really look at.
On a personal note, you yourself were in the same situation post your 12th grade, and you went abroad for your undergrad study.
I did.
How was that experience? What about that experience of studying abroad at an undergraduate level changed you as a human being and as an adult that you would like to for this audience to gather?
So I think the first bit, which will probably scare a lot of people here, is it taught me independence. I didn't have the ability to call my mommy and daddy and say, help me pick a class, tell me what I want to do. I had to path my own course. It was a challenge at start, but universities now have a lot of counseling. They help you play to your strengths. If you have weaknesses, they guide you in the right way. So this was the first thing, the first challenge, which I had to overcome. And it has translated into real life now, which has made me more of an independent person, which has allowed me to plan life better. So this is the key. It might sound scary for a lot of you for sending your kids, because in India, we really want to keep our children close to us and control them. But I think it's essential to put them down this path. earlier than life rather than later.
Excellent. Thank you for that.
I didn't scare anyone.
No, but I think, things like, and this translation of what you do at undergraduate to the link you talked about being job ready, honing your communication skills, also leads to some characteristics you look for in the workplace, right? Like accountability, responsibility, adhering to timelines, and so on.
It does, but all this comes from on-hands training. It has to be built into your subconscious. So this happens only when you go and you're independent and you reach out and you try and explore. So,
good. Thank you. If it's okay with the panel, are there any questions, Vivek, Vishnu, that I could get?
Touch upon some of the other programs we are doing.
Yeah.
So also as Apollo Knowledge, we are doing a lot more programs with the UK. With the NHS, for example, we have developed a program for genomic scientists along with the NHS, where postgrads come and participate with us, and we train them as clinical scientists, and then they have a job ready for them in the UK. We've also started the 2+2 residency program, where doctors participate for 2 years within the Apollo hospitals in India, and then move over to the UK for 2 years and work in the NHS. These programs give the candidates a pathway to employability as well. As we've said, these are all industry-linked programs that we are pioneering here at Apollo Knowledge, and we think this is the way forward. So that's...
Yeah, absolutely. Fair point. So our commitment as Apollo Knowledge and with the University of Leicester is to have more and more work-integrated programs that add essential work skills and life skills. Karthik spoke about communication, English language, how soft skills, how to hold yourself not just at university but conduct yourself at a workplace, and multiple programs to complete your master's at the University of Leicester. We talked about this being 2+1 with an opportunity to do another 1 year to complete your master's in any of the streams. In fact, we are introducing that for nursing students as well. I know slightly different audience, but we are doing that. So all our programs integrate internships, on-the-job experience with an opportunity to complete your master's. And I keep re-emphasizing a UK degree, which is what the University of Leicester degree is, allows you global mobility. It is recognized across the world in leading developing nations. So you're not just UK bound or India bound, but you also have Australia, Canada, and other countries that then open up because they recognize this accreditation. While I scan through the questions, just a follow-up to Henrietta. We talked about AI 5 years ago. No curriculum in any university in the world would have thought about AI, right? So while I'm not going to focus only on AI, I want to use that as an example for you, how adaptable, how flexible are global higher education institutions to the changing pace of industry requirements. So when a student goes from India, makes a commitment 2 years here, 1 year, plus potentially another year at the University of Leicester, what confidence or what can you share with them about how flexible the system is to change and evolve to growing needs? And if you can give some examples of new things that have been added, given the pace of change in industry.
Okay, it's a very good question. So I mentioned earlier that the University of Leicester is a research-intensive university. So research is key to everything that we do. And we have researchers who are working at the cutting edge of AI and data science and understanding the future of AI. So those researchers are carrying out research in those areas. And what we strive to do is embed that research into our curriculum. So the curriculum will adapt very, very quickly to take in developments in the world of AI. Alongside that, of course, our students are sometimes much quicker than us. They're younger, they're more adaptable, they're learning about AI every day. So what we're working hard to do is make sure that we embed AI into their learning so they can use AI rather than thinking we will penalize them for using AI. We're encouraging them to use AI in a careful way and to think about how they're using it and embedding that into their programs. Another way we're embedding the world of AI in the fast changing nature of work is to give students the opportunity to do workplace projects. So to work with employers to understand what their needs are. So one example would be that, and Mark could talk about this further, we are looking at the use of AI for some of our organisational practices at the University of Leicester, like all of you will be doing in your own workplaces. But we're asking our students to do workplace projects looking at how we can improve our own organisation through AI. So we are making use of it in a whole range of ways, but importantly, making sure that our students are benefiting from the knowledge that we generate.
Thank you. Professor Bhat, a couple of questions. So one of the questions is the 3-year UG program, through this course, which is 2 years in India, 1 year at the University of Leicester. How does it compare with a normal 4-year undergraduate program that Indian universities have? Part B to that is, what is the reach of this degree for further education and the marketability of this degree in India, UK, or anywhere else?
Yeah, thank you, Shiva. In terms of equivalence, we are about the same. The intensity of the 3-year program is much more than a 4-year undergrad in India. In terms of, if you look at a typical 4-year BTech program in India, it's 7 semesters of coursework and 1 semester of internship, either in industry or on campus. So but this gets compressed within a 3-year program. So the 3-year engineering program is a well-entrenched program in UK. It's always been 3 years. But Scotland, I think, has, some of the universities have 4 years. But in England, it's 3 years, always been so. But with the UGC now saying that undergraduate programs in India can be 3 or 4, postgraduate programs can be 1 or 2 years, that brings a lot of equivalence. So the older fear that a foreign degree of 3 years engineering or 1-year master's is no longer recognized in India is all gone with that UGC nomenclature change and the rule change, which says that if you have a 4-year degree, you can have a 1-year master's. If you have a 3-year degree, you can have a 2-year master's. So all this is now considered as equivalent in India. So there's no such fear.
And a follow-up to that, and I'll ask Martyn this. Either of you can choose to. So the question was, when the students of the 2+1 program go for their 3rd year in Leicester, are they a unique cohort, or do they join other students globally who are part of Leicester's 3rd year program?
That's exactly right, Shiva. So they are not. They will be fully integrated into 3rd year of a bachelor degree. So they will be learning alongside other students from both the UK, but from around the world. Just to give just to build on that, and also something that Henrietta said earlier. So we obviously already have a cohort now on the computer science degree, almost 50 students at the Apollo University on the transfer program. Our faculty members have been over. That's ongoing. We have more staff coming over in April for Spring Week. That will hopefully include some staff from the careers service as well. So even before students arrive in the UK, they will have had a lot of contact with colleagues, and also hopefully as well some of the other students and other classmates that will become their classmates in the final year. So I'm sure going to be exploring virtual projects where students at Leicester can work and collaborate with the students at the Apollo University before those students even come to the UK. And then, as Henrietta mentioned, we have a long history of welcoming students from India, but from across the world. So we provide students with lots of information. We have pre-departure briefings. We have events here, which Vishnu's team lead, where you can start to prepare what is life like in the UK. How much does it cost? What clothes do I need to pack? What sort of what stationery do I need? How do I prepare for the journey to the UK? How do I prepare for the journey from the airport to Leicester? We have staff that will welcome you on campus, help you move into accommodation, the well-being, the pastoral care, all that is embedded as well. So it makes that journey as seamless as possible. We know it's a big step. Many of our international students, when they come to Leicester, it's often their first time outside of their home country. Many of them, it's their first time in the UK, and for almost all of them, they haven't been to Leicester before. We know that. We have decades of experience of helping students and their parents make that transition smoothly so that you can enjoy it as soon as possible. So it's very much, these students are part of, even when they start at the Apollo University, they're already part of the Leicester family, part of our community, and that continues once they arrive in the UK and become part of that cohort.
Excellent. Some follow-up, related, slightly different questions, either of you, please feel free. So the first one is, can you share details on the list of programs being offered under this 2+1 model right now? Moving on from there is, if then I chose to opt for a 4th year, what are the options available? And specifically, it's, can I switch to some other stream at that stage? And the last one, not necessarily on the academic program, but how is the university prepared in terms of supporting students given issues like racism, fear of gun culture, issues around Indian students having to go back, some thought about, are we stealing jobs from the home country? So that's one entirely different piece. But first one is on the programs and opportunities. What are the specific programs and what are the opportunities to diversify and progress in the University of Leicester?
That's fine. So I'll answer the first part and then Hen come after. I think as Shiva mentioned, and the previous question as well with Dr. Bhat. So in the UK, most degrees are 3 years in duration. Most master's degrees, postgraduate degrees are 1 year in duration, and it's been that way for a very long time. Some degrees are longer, medicine, for example, some engineering degrees, MEng, 4 years, architecture, etc. But most of our degrees are 3 years, and they're fully accredited, recognised by the government and by employers in the UK and overseas. So students coming into that year, I mean, at the moment, the programs that are receiving applications for September are computer science, and also new for this year, the BBA, so business management. And so usually students who start the 2-year transfer program, for example, in computer science or in business, would then transfer into the 3rd year, the final year of that degree with us at Leicester. In terms of a 4th year, I'm guessing the question we was asking past about the masters. We have a range of different masters programs across the university. In some areas, we allow students to move from a particular discipline into another. So what do I mean by that? So some students might have studied computer science, but might want to go into one of our masters in business, and we can do that. At the same time, we have some programs in computer science and other areas of science, which if students don't quite have a full science background, they can still take those degrees as a conversion program. So there are opportunities for students to sort of take a slight change in their career path if they wish to, and that's completely flexible and possible. All I would say, though, is, and that's part of the purpose of today, is to just to try and make sure that in the very first place, particularly if students are still in high school doing their standard 12, year 10, year 11, that they make the right choice at the beginning. Because I think once you do take that route into computer science or business, it's not impossible to change, but obviously it might take a little bit more time and might be a bit more difficult. So please, talk to Vishnu, talk to the team, make sure from the very beginning you are choosing the right program for you based on the curriculum, what you enjoy, but also what your eventual career path might be.
There are a couple of 2 or 3 questions that I'll give a break to why don't you pick the second question up, Henrietta, first?
Yeah, I understand completely the question about how safe is Leicester as a city and about racism. So the first thing I would say is Leicester is a safe city. I've talked about my children already. My 16-year-old daughter will walk to school. She will go to the city centre. Her and her friends are very independent. I worry, like every parent, I'm not worried about her being in the city of Leicester. We've talked a lot about Leicester being a diverse city. As Indian students, you will not look different in Leicester. Everybody will assume you're from Leicester. That can be a good thing and that can be a bad thing, but you will feel part of the city. In terms of the university, we are a very diverse university and we're very proud of it being an inclusive campus. We're unusual in that our Vice-Chancellor is from a Sri Lankan background, but his approach to the University of Leicester has been about being an inclusive and welcoming environment. So racism is, we have a zero tolerance policy on racism. So it's a very inclusive, safe campus to be in. So at our UK open days, I talk to parents about an app we have at the University of Leicester. Every student, when they arrive, is asked to download an app called Safe Zone. And you have Safe Zone on your mobile phone. If you're worried about anything, and this can be somebody who has, for example, a student may lose their key to their accommodation. All they have to do is press Safe Zone and the security team at the university will be in contact with them immediately. They call them straight back. They come straight to them. And that Safe Zone is something that staff and students have as soon as they arrive. It is fantastic. It gives all of our parents a real sense of security and that their child is safe on campus. So I think that app is very reassuring for people, but you don't need the app because basically it's a very safe and small and welcoming environment to be in.
Thank you, Henrietta. Let me answer some specific questions. Is this program offered in medicine or dentistry? No, it's not. As we spoke, these are not. The three programs Martyn talked about are in computer science, engineering, and BBA, business management. We don't offer these courses currently in medicine or dental sciences. I think Professor Bhat already answered the question on the applicability or recognition of the 3-year undergrad back in India. The question was specifically, is it AICTE recognized and so on? And you've already answered that. By the way, you can also Google UK and India have a bilateral agreement on recognition of degrees outside of mutual degrees, but they have a recognition of degrees here. So this is applicable. Martyn's already talked about all UK universities, other than in certain professional courses, all UK universities. You're talking Leicester, you could be Oxford, you could be Cambridge, offer 3-year undergrad and 1-year masters. And students are globally mobile to transfer anywhere. They are accredited and they are recognized both by other universities and by the workplace. I've got some questions on psychology and pharmacy. The Apollo University offers undergrad and master's programs. We have clinical psychology. We have pharmacy at the Apollo University, but that's not part of the Apollo-Leicester articulation program. Independently, I'm assuming, because the questions are specific to these two. Yes, these are. Please meet any of our counselors here or log on to the Apollo University website for more details on these courses. While there are a couple of other questions which are coming in, let me ask Karthik again. There's a specific question here about how do you view someone with an international degree for employability versus someone who's got an Indian degree?
To be honest, it goes back to what I said earlier. I think I would view them both in the same eyes. It's the other intangibles that are very important. What kind of experience they've had, the communication skills, the ability to work with a team, the ability to stick to deadlines. These are the very important things when you come into the real world. So it's a bit of the degree and the other skills, which we will look at.
Excellent. In fact, there were a couple of questions. Karthik's answered that, but a couple of questions on English language, communication, and so on. And Karthik alluded to that earlier. All programs run by Apollo, either at the university or the medical college or nursing institutions, go over and above what is prescribed in the curriculum by the regulator. We have English language, communication, soft skills programs. In fact, we are now about to introduce foreign languages outside of English as well into programs that we run across Apollo. So rest assured, if you need extra prep in English language, communication, or soft skills, we have that. And these are conducted by professionals at the university, right? I think in this note, Dr. Bhat, you are on the campus. You've championed student clubs at Manipal University. You're doing that at Apollo. Here, specifically on confidence for a young adult stepping out of home, English language, communication, working in teams. Karthik talked about essential skills in the workplace. What kind of environment exists at the Apollo University, and what are you doing to ensure that students go through this outside of education world experience at your campus?
We have this Saturday afternoon. So normally education institutions are increasingly becoming 5-day weeks. We are still a 6-day week, but the Saturday afternoons are exclusively for student activities. The students are encouraged to be a part of one or more student clubs. There are at least 20 or more student clubs on campus, right from debating to histrionics, to music, to dance, to collectibles, trekking, and all kinds of outdoor and indoor, and certainly not curricular. And the students get to do a whole lot of things in terms of organizing, in terms of teamwork, in terms of doing an event, in terms of coming to the fore and giving a talk. And I have seen the change in the students when entrusted with a task of organizing an event, right from identifying a guest speaker to getting him to the campus, asking him to do what he is expected to do, get people to be a part of that program, manage the finances, and give the closure reports. The students are doing all that. So I feel it gives them a degree of confidence and the kinds of skills that are required for their work life. So, but we are doing it very silently without being it a part of any course or credit, without giving them any scores. Spectacular thing I have seen with students gaining confidence through internationalization was in my previous university, where we had this small group of medical students going for 4 weeks of externship to a partner university, either in Flinders in Australia or Maastricht in the Netherlands, or to some other partner universities. They do their 4 weeks of clinical rotation and used to come back. So I ran this program from 2003 till 2020 until COVID hit. And before they went, I used to brief them. There were about 16 students each time. They were the best of the 2 medical schools. I used to brief them about how life is in the Netherlands, for example, what you are expected to do, what you should be doing in an international program, and so on. And most and all, in fact, without exception, all Indian students are, we tell something as teachers that ask questions, but we hate it when students ask questions. So the students get into that habit of nodding their head. They listen. So they listen very carefully, nod their heads, and work on their visas and go back to, let's say, go to Maastricht and come back. And then I used to do a debriefing. The same student who only nodded the head had to be stopped from talking when he came back to say, what is your work experience? 4 weeks did that change. And I've seen these people, I've seen one of them give a talk on antimicrobial resistance to a panel which included Putin. And this girl was so emphatic and so energetic in that forum. I was saying, my God, this is the same person. So this is what it does. A little bit of exposure away from home will bring out the best in students. And the faculty and the students are always there to see. And I've seen the change in my own students in Chittoor. Many of them are from disadvantaged families. Many of them, in fact, more than 40% of my students in Chittoor are the first ones from their family to get into universities. So, and I've seen that change. That they can come confidently onto this on the stage, pick up a mic, and give a talk. So this is what I have seen.
Excellent. Thank you. Which brings us to the elephant in the room, Martyn. What is the fee structure? What do families have to look for in terms of total outlay for this program? What kind of return on such investment? And what is the scope for scholarships based on education awards, performance, and so on?
Thank you. It's often described as the elephant in the room, but I think it's the question is the elephant in the room. So the first thing to say is higher education is expensive, full stop. I'm not going to pretend it's not. Even for UK students now, I think the average debt for a UK undergraduate, UK national, going on to a degree is about £60,000, and it goes up with inflation. Okay, it won't be that much for an Indian student on a transfer program, but that's just to show it. Even for UK students, it is expensive, and there's various reasons for that, which I'm happy to talk about afterwards. But I think part of the attraction, I think one of the reasons why, there's many reasons why Leicester and Apollo are in a partnership, but an international transfer program, what it does offer is the best of both worlds. It offers students the opportunity to get 2 years in a good Indian university, which is connected to the Apollo brand, which is a very big brand in India and the world, to get used to studying at university in an Indian context, but at a lower cost than studying for the full 3 years or 4 years, depending on the degree overseas. So it is more cost effective anyway. You just have that 1 year in Leicester in the UK to budget for. The fees for that year will be at a more discounted rate, because students on this program will get a slightly discounted rate to show that that the strength of the relationship between Leicester and Apollo. There may also be other scholarships available based on academic performance that students can get, which will reduce that tuition fee further. There's then also the cost of living in the UK. It varies. We normally say it's around £10,000 to £15,000. You will need to show, and I won't get into specifics because I don't want to give you the wrong information. It does change from year to year. This is where Vishnu's team can support you. But there will be certain amounts of money which parents, families will need to show in their bank accounts to get a visa. And that can vary each year. That's set by the government based on the cost of living in the UK. So you'll need to show that you have enough funds or access to funds for the tuition fee, minus any scholarship or discount you might get, and then the cost of living as well to cover accommodation, but also food and any other costs that students have. I would normally say for 1 year, give or take in the UK, when you take into account the tuition fee plus the cost of living, you're probably looking at around £25,000 to £30,000. Okay, my lakhs and crows are slightly, my calculations is not quite accurate, but it's around £25,000 to £30,000. But the reason we have Vishnu and his team in India, one of the big things that they do is help students make sure all their documents are correct in order to apply for the visa to satisfy the UK government's immigration regulations. So that's the sort of that element of the question. The other question, just to finish off as well, is, I guess, and we've talked about this a lot today, is about return on investment. It is expensive, just full stop. Even to study in India, an Indian university costs money. At a private university costs more, maybe the public university. And clearly you need to weigh up, is it worth the return on investment? There's lots of data, both in India In the UK, the World Bank, UNESCO, they have data which shows that if a student has done a degree in any country, if a student has done a degree, graduates in their lifetime will earn more than non-graduates. That graduate premium, we call it, is still there, that added value. But clearly that premium, that added value can go up depending on the sort of degree that you studied. So a good degree from a good university, particularly a university that can give you some of the extra skills that we've talked about, that Henrietta's talked about, that I've mentioned. So giving you additional skills and employability in sort of people skills, problem solving skills, resilience, AI skills, making sure that their curriculum, as well as teaching to a very high standard, also give opportunities to build these broader skills, I think is what you should be looking for. Okay, so it is a big investment. We believe it's worth the investment. There's lots of data which shows that graduates do earn more. I would also say as well, to help bring down the cost, the final point for me, to help bring down the cost of studying. Obviously, there's work placement, but you are allowed as an international student to work part-time during term time, but also during the holiday times as well. We have opportunities through our careers service to find jobs on campus. There's also opportunities, as I mentioned earlier, off campus in the city or in the wider region, so that students can earn some extra money to help cover the costs and help their families cover the costs as well. So there are options there as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to come in and say, as Provost and Deputy Vice-Chancellor, there are two things I want for your children and I would want for my own children. The first of those things is a fantastic experience at the University of Leicester, and we will do everything to make sure that your child has a fantastic experience. And I would guarantee that if your child comes to Leicester and they have any issue, they can speak to me directly anytime. The second thing is I want your child to have success. I want their experience at the University of Leicester to bring them success. All of the opportunities for success are there. They are there for your child. What we see with our students is the ones who take those opportunities are the ones who have success. So the examples I gave you earlier, those students came to Leicester, they saw those opportunities, the opportunities were there for them, they have taken them and they have made the best of them. We can't do that. We can't make your child take the opportunity. We need your help with that. Those students will say to us, my mum, my dad told me to take the opportunities, to become a student leader, to take an internship, to do things differently. So the opportunities are there for them, and we can work together to make sure that your child has a successful experience and outcome.
Thank you. Any other remarks from you, Karthik or Professor Bhat? No? Thank you. So just to summarize through this session, this is really about two renowned global brands coming together to offer this program. This is not an opportunistic fly-by-night operator or a couple coming together. This is about Apollo and the University of Leicester, two highly rated, very well-renowned brands coming together to offer this program. There is a commitment from both the entities to give students, and if your parents, your children, a pathway to success. It entails 2 years at the Apollo University in Chittoor, a wholly residential campus, a third year at the University of Leicester, the most diverse town in the whole of Europe, with a large Asian population, right? Secure, safe. It also offers you an opportunity to do a further year at the University of Leicester to attain your master's. There is a post-study work visa of 1.5 years post your study for a work opportunity. The degree in the UK is fully accredited, like we mentioned. Almost all UK degrees are 3 years at undergrad, 1 year at postgrad, and globally recognized. Dr. Bhat talked about the new education policy and UGC norms. I spoke about the Indo-UK recognition of degrees. So these degrees are valid for jobs back in India as well. Professor Henrietta actually emphasized, I think, building on what Karthik said about going out, getting a global experience, being independent, being accountable, and learning all the things that make you successful at the workplace. Professor Henrietta summarized that by saying the opportunities are there, it's for the students to take it. And that doesn't change anywhere, right? Every institution, any aspect in life, I think what you expect as parent, and I am one, all of us are here, what you expect is for the institutions to give a platform and opportunities to succeed. Finally, it's up to the individual to grab those opportunities. On behalf of all of us, thank you very much, and we wish you tremendous success in your journey ahead. Thank you.